Hello, folks. This is Lauren Ebeck, and I'm here to tell you that we're on Google Hangout, so this is new technology. There will be a 30-second delay. You may have to refresh your browser, so please be patient as we work through this. And if you have any technological difficulties whatsoever, feel free to put a comment in the chat box, and Ty can help you out. So thank you, and we'll get started momentarily. Myself first, hang on. Okay, do you see it? Have you ever experienced this overwhelm when you don't know what to do next, where it just absolutely paralyzes you? Or maybe you have a ton of stress or more stress because your deadlines keep piling up, your list keeps growing longer. Maybe you're worn out because you just don't have more energy to give. I invite you to take a deep breath. I invite you to be present and give this present to yourself, no pun intended here, because you need to turn off any distractions. We tend to be multitaskers where we have the iPad on, the phone on, the laptop on, and we think we can handle it all. But again, I want you to be totally 100% present and mindful. Best present you can give yourself today to learn about these three keys, these three valuable keys I'm going to share with you for reducing stress. So take a deep breath now. See how much better that feels? And make sure your breath comes from your belly, not your chest. More on that later. Today's webinar is Reduce Chronic Stress. 3 keys to keeping it from becoming your new normal. In this webinar, you're going to learn how to set clear intentions. If they're not clear, you're going to have what I call the fuzzy wish-sos. I wish I were more happy. I wish I were so rich. I wish I were so in a great relationship. So if they're not clear, it gets muddy fast. It doesn't work out. You're also going to learn what you must include in your daily routine. And if you leave these out, you'll stay on that stressed out merry-go-round that goes around and around and around. And then I'm going to give you a simple step-by-step process through all of this for relaxing your mind and body. So again, pay attention to these 3 keys, and you might want to have a pen and a notebook handy to write these down. We will have a replay, but again, a pen and a notebook so you can start tonight. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, and don't think too hard on this, is it important to find me time in my day? True or false? True. By making it a priority, and you need to schedule it in your calendar, and yes, you heard me right, you have to schedule it in your calendar. You have to actually write this down. I promise you, you'll have more energy to give every single day. And I'll cover more on this later. It's a very valuable tip. If nothing else, I'll pause for a minute, but take a moment to write this down. Schedule me time in my calendar. So again, write this down. Schedule me time in my calendar. You'll love me for it later. So let's talk about who this webinar is for. My target audience or my clients tend to be mid-career women. I do have some men on the call, so if you're one of those men, welcome, because all of these keys and strategies apply to men and women alike. However, just realize that because my niche or my clients tend to be mostly women, there's a lot of she's and the verbiage is around women. But again, the strategies apply to you as well. So maybe perhaps you have family obligations, like you have children, or maybe you have a job where you're trying to change jobs. Perhaps you're trying to have children. Maybe you're getting divorced, but maybe you're caring for ailing parents. There's all kinds of life stressors, and that's who this webinar is for, is the mid-woman who is totally stressed out. Maybe you realize how stressed out you are and you want to follow your dreams, but you're more stressed out because you can't figure out how to do that. So again, this webinar would be for those women. And welcome all men. So have you ever experienced what I've experienced all at once? You're overwhelmed, overworked, and overstressed. Maybe you're the single mom who's trying to make ends meet, trying to figure out how to put food on the table. Although I never had kids of my own, I can tell you I became a single mom overnight in 2009 to a 16-year-old. And yes, I said that right, overnight. I had a sister who got Alzheimer's, induced Alzheimer's, from doing what I call a temporary Band-Aid fix that I'll talk about later. And let me tell you, that'll change your life faster than anything else will when you've been single and suddenly you're a mother to a teenager. Talk about changing your entire lifestyle. Oh my. But I can tell you, my saving grace is that I was a high school teacher, so I had taught these lovely teenagers and was still teaching at the time when he came into my life. And it was a boy, a 16-year-old boy. What a challenge. So here's a question for you. When was the last time you felt like $1 million? When was the last time you felt like you were really on top of your game? You were passionate, enthusiastic, full of vitality, and free-spirited. And if not, you're going to be the lackluster instead of the blockbuster. And again, maybe you are overwhelmed because you're facing those challenges with single motherhood or perhaps ailing parents or ailing sisters. Maybe you're stressful because your job is just too demanding. If you're like most women, we tend to give and take care of everybody else, and to top it off, we have to work today in today's society, whereas in the past, many women didn't work, but now, in this day and age, we get a job, we bring home the bacon, take care of the kids, and take care of the extended family, all in one fell swoop, and just continue to give. Like me, did it leave you wondering, is this all there really is to life? I woke up one day with these very thoughts and wondered, what am I going to do with my life? And what's it going to take to change my life? So let me give you my story, because like you, or like me, you probably wonder this occasionally, but you haven't had that trigger or that impetus to really go for the change quite yet. So let me tell you my story and what my pivotal point was. So a few years ago, I was like most of you. I was stuck in my career. I was stressed out, burnt out. I felt overworked, underpaid. I had no energy. Worst of all, I was compromising my health, my financial stability. I even compromised my relationships. Does that sound familiar? So let me give you a little bit more about me. Because even though I was living that stressed out, burnt out amount of energy, if you saw me from the outside, for all outward appearances, I was a high school teacher. I was getting, by the way, I was getting all kinds of awards. I'd won the highest honor as a high school teacher, not to brag, but just look at this picture for a second. Here I am, the successful high school teacher, bringing in grants, getting these awards, teaching at a technical college. You know, I have a cat and a dog. I'm supposedly out hiking and traveling in the summer times, doing all this stuff. And for all outward appearances, I was this very successful person. Even when I was in camp administration for 7 years, I was incredibly successful, brought in a lot of money for the camp. I was also a tour guide in Alaska. Again, very successful. You know, people loved me. They loved how I toured. They loved how I socialized. However, I did not feel lucky, and I certainly didn't have the perfect life. I was in the burnt out, worn out, stressed out life. I was in the temporary Band-Aid fix of the workaholic. And in fact, I can tell you that my identical twin was very jealous of me, and she used to say things like, "You're so lucky. You had the perfect life. You don't know what it's like to have my life." And all I could think of was, what in the world is she talking about? Because I, like many of you, gave and gave and gave, but people on the outside thought that I was this successful person. Then one day I'm at a science teachers conference, right? And I'm working in my wonderful work mode because we're getting ready to lead the whole conference. In fact, I was one of the planners. And a phone call comes in, that devastating phone call. I was the first one they called. They didn't find the phone number to her husband. Call it divine intervention or call it coincidental or whatever you want. They could have called any of the sisters, the kids, her adult children living down there with her, or her husband. And instead, I'm the first one who gets a phone call. And they say, "We just found your twin dead in a car outside of a hotel in Laverne, which is right outside of Nashville, Tennessee." It was quite the devastating phone call. And it was at that very moment, I kid you not, that very moment, the first thing that went through my mind was, life is too short. What am I doing with my life? And I've just lost a twin. There's nothing else like it to make you rethink everything you've done with your life and where you're going. In this particular picture, Leslie's got her sunglasses on. That's Leslie on the left. I'm on the right, on your right. Leslie's got her sunglasses on because she doesn't want anybody to see that she's drunk. You see, she had turned to those temporary Band-Aid fixes of anxiety drugs and drinking to make herself feel good because she thought that that would make her happy. She even moved from Florida to Tennessee because she told me one day that that was going to be the fix, the cure-all for her wounds. Enough on that. There'll be a longer story coming on that later. But as you can imagine, that was incredibly devastating. You see, we were clones. Identical twins had the exact same DNA. The only thing different on the identical twin, by the way, in case you don't know, this is our fingerprints, because your fingerprints are formed in the womb with your little fingers on the womb of your mom. So that was the only thing we had different was fingerprints. But our genetic makeup is exactly the same. And we grew up in the same environment with the same friends and family, same mom and dad, same schools, and we were close until we got to be teenagers. So, and here is just a couple of quick pictures to show you. There's our little baby pictures of when it looks like we were about 5 years old doing our little dolls for Christmas. Then we have a teenage picture here on January 1st. We normally celebrated on New Year's Eve. Not only did we celebrate New Year's Eve, but we also celebrate our birthday because it happened to fall on January 2nd and people were home over the holidays. So we got that combined birthday Christmas celebration. And then the picture to the far right is my mom and dad and my twin and I going through communion. But like most families, we still had our challenges. You know, we faced the challenges of my father dying when we were 14 as teenagers. So we had a death right away. We had my mother's alcoholism, and she drank even more after he died, so she was always passed out on the couch. So we had no real supervision as kids, if you will. And then I had my brother's addiction. And on top of that, my twin chose a totally different path. She chose to go out and get pregnant when she was in high school, all because of those circumstances. And that's when our paths, she started making choices that were different from my choices, and we started on two separate journeys. If only my twin sister had lived long enough so that she could be in the same place as me. If only she had found a coach. Unfortunately, and if only she had gone to counseling, actually, when she was younger. But, you know, she chose a different path, and that path resulted in a lot of stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. So this is another picture. We're pictured here. We were, actually, I was in college, and Leslie was running her life with her husband and her kids and working. But we had come together for an event. So we had gone home to see our parents and to see my mother and to see my older sister in the background there, who you can't see their faces, but we were home. So how was my life different? Well, like her, I had reached a point where in my life when I woke up one day and I was totally emotionally broke, right? So it was a point where I too wanted to slap some sort of sign on my forehead that said, out of order, because I was so drained emotionally. I mean, seriously, I couldn't get off the couch. There were nights where I laid on the couch. I got to bed by 6 p.m. because I was just that worn out, and I had to have my coffee in the morning just to move and get going. And yep, I wanted one of those signs just to slap out of my head and say, folks, I am totally out of order. Please leave me alone. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's quite the emotional up and down. And especially when you're starting to turn to things like Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, coffee, or whatever it takes, sugar, to get up and get going and feel good about yourself again. I have girlfriends now who go on the couch and they drink 3 glasses of wine when they come home at night, right? Watching TV to drown out their life, get up in the morning, have to have 2 cups of coffee to get themselves going and get to work. We're in a discussion now about coaching, but that comes later. Now, one of the things I want to point out is when I decided that life was too short and I really wanted to wake up every single morning, I wanted to feel passionate about life. I wanted to have a purpose. I wanted to help people. I knew at that pivotal point when my twin died what my purpose in life was. It's amazing how you go through like a decade of your life wondering what's your purpose in life, and then suddenly one day it's clear as a bell and you know what your life purpose is and what your mission is and what you want to do. And like most people, you get excited about it, right? And you want to share it. So you begin sharing it with family, with friends, with colleagues. Well, I'm here to tell you there are dream squashers everywhere. And yes, they're in your friends, your colleagues, in your family, and the person you didn't expect. Now, on the upside of that, they really care about you and love you, and they mean well. But on the downside, you're getting challenged at every point about what are you thinking when you're thinking of leaving a full-time job? What are you going to do about benefits? In this day and age, we don't do stuff like that. What about health insurance? And all you want to do is all I want to do is say to them, my job is killing me, and life is too short. I just lost my twin, for God's sakes. Do I want to stay at a job I don't love where I'm so totally stressed out? Do I want to stay there because of stability? So think about that. How many of you are in a job right now that you don't like and you're totally stressed out and you're staying with it because of stability? So I got to a point in my life where obviously, and you know that by now from my story, that I took a different path. Many people will follow the path of following those temporary Band-Aid fixes to make themselves feel better. So they are going to overeat, drink, watch TV, take anxiety drugs, or whatever. And it would have been so easy for me to follow my twin's path, to just, pick up that bottle. Because remember, I had access to alcohol. I had access to drugs. I had access to men. I had no supervision. I was in the same environment. I could have chosen all the same exact choices she did. However, I decided to take a different path, to experience my own soul journey. I knew there had to be a better way. So the quote I live by this famous poet, Robert Frost, is 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And I can tell you, it definitely has made all the difference in my life. By following my own inner wisdom and my own advice, I began to do things like, for example, eating healthy. Clean eating is a diet. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle choice. So I get rid of a lot of the processed foods, and I have a whole nother program on that, and that's for another day. But I eat healthy and do my green smoothies. I sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. I enjoy doing yoga and meditation and things that touch my inner spirit, but my inner soul. This led me to do a ton of things that I dreamt that I could only dream that I would never ever do. So, for example, I had all kinds of adventures. I went to Alaska, right, became a tour guide, and I was very successful at that. So that was part of that growth experience in going through that. I completed 2 master's degrees, one in natural resources, one in pre-med. I completed a wellness coaching program. I even did a massage certification program because I knew I wanted to help people. I wanted to be spiritual, and I knew that massage was a great thing, and I was good at it. I also wanted to be a Reiki master. I saw what energy healing could do for people. And then I also became an herbalist. Now, many of these things I applied to my own life, but I got real joy out of helping other people, and these were all things that I followed before I began to do my coaching practice. So, the wow for you today. I'm going to present to you 3 keys that I myself use every day to reduce stress. There's going to be an extraordinary wellness bonus gift at the end, so please stay on to the end. And then I'm going to have an invitation for you. You know, it saddens me to see lots of women out there who are so loving and gifted, and they're struggling. They're absolutely struggling. And they're struggling with stress. They're struggling with all kinds of challenges. They're not investing in themselves at all and not taking care of themselves. And I'm here to tell you that life doesn't have to be that challenging and that difficult. It truly doesn't have to be that hard. You all are such beautiful souls with so much to give. And we give and give. But you need to give to yourself as well. So by using the keys that I'm going to teach you today, you'll be happier and healthier and more confident. You'll have steps to start this process where you can start to create the life that you truly desire. So get your pens and papers out and get ready. Before I give you the 3 keys, though, I want to talk to you a little bit about what stress does to the body. I taught this all the time in college and high school. And I think it's very important for people to understand it. Stress comes in different forms. It doesn't have to be, something physical like a car accident or breaking your leg or anything like that. It can be emotional stress as well. So whatever the stressor is that you're going to at the point in time, your brain is going to release chemical messengers. These are hormones, right? And they're going to release them, and they're going to release things like adrenaline, cortisol, and these are going to cause a number of physiological responses in your body. So stress is correlated to illness, infection, but it's also very much correlated to obesity and diabetes, as well as depression, anxiety, and most importantly, if you have long-term stress, it's going to have a significant impact, especially with heart disease, because you'll have high blood pressure, and in fact, long-term stress is actually called the silent killer. And if you don't know this, the cortisol levels and these hormones have a tendency to suppress your immune system, so you're going to get sick a whole lot more often. So stress is really correlated to all these things listed in the slide above, and you should take note of that. And for that alone, you need to try to reduce the stress in your life. So the first key is going to be number 3, set your intentions for the day. When I first wake up in the morning, I try to become well aware of my thoughts, and I meditate. And I only meditate for about 15 minutes. But I become well, and the reason I meditate, one, is because I want to get clarity on what are my thoughts. Because many of us wake up with, I got to go to work, I got to get the coffee, got to feed the kids, got to let the dog out, and your mind is racing a mile a minute. So I try to meditate to calm those thoughts, and then I set some positive intentions for the day. Why is this important? Because what you think about, you bring about. The research shows that we think about 20,000 to 50 thoughts a day, but it's going to depend on if you're a philosopher or if you're a deep thinker or not. But still, 20,000 is a heck of a lot of thoughts, right? And if your thoughts happen to fall into the stressful, negative, oh my God mode, I got to get all this done, you can see how it impacts your emotions, because your heart's going to be racing, your blood pressure, you're not going to be in a calm mode when you wake up in the morning, right? And that in turn will impact your actions, which then, as you continue to do it day after day, lead to bad habits. So what are intentions? Intentions are clear, powerful thoughts, and you need to be very clear about these, and I'll give you some examples in just a minute. They also need to match your values, because if you set an intention that doesn't match with what you believe in, it's not going to happen. And you need to do what I call inspired doables. So, for example, I don't say to myself in the morning, I have the intention of being a millionaire today. That could happen if you believe in law of attraction, but that's a little far-fetched, and my belief system isn't going to let me go there right away, right? So more importantly, you need to do things like have an intention to have a fun or productive day. Maybe have the intention to have quality time with your family or roommate or a pet. One of the things I like to have an intention about is when I get in my car, if I'm headed to a meeting or to work, I intend to have a safe ride to wherever I go. So I set the intention that I'm going to be totally safe. If I have a meeting that appears to be stressful or have tension to it, I set the intention that I'm going to be brilliant and calm no matter what, but I set the intention for the good of everybody that it's going to turn out to be positive. So those are what I called inspired doables. So again, make sure they're clear and make sure that they're doable, that they match your values and what you feel you can get done or what you feel could happen. When you set that intention, you need to write it down. I tend to write these down in a journal to set my intentions. This is important in the beginning because it gets you into the habit of setting the intentions. And not only does it get you in the habit, but A, you can review them to make sure that they're clearly stated. B, you're reprogramming that subconscious mind of yours. And then another thing you can do is if you have a spouse who hopefully is very supportive of everything that you do, you can share it with that spouse or partner. And if not, then share it with a friend who you know that's going to support you, and they're going to supportively hold you accountable for taking action. They're not going to make you feel guilty, but they're going to be supportive but hold you accountable. That is highly important. You'll make more progress with that than anything else. So today, do something to demonstrate your commitment to your attention. Like when you get off the phone tonight, set an intention. You're going to go to bed peaceful and calm and happy. Maybe set a small one. Make me time and go have a hot bubble bath. So once you acknowledge what you did, what you said you were going to do, then you take the next step. So once you set your intention, you take that next step to make sure it happens. Let's talk about reduced stress key number 2, gratitude journaling. This is one of my all-time favorites. So let's talk about why you should do this, first of all, because many people ask me, why should I bother with gratitude journaling? Well, one, you're going to be very aware of your own shifts and awakenings, and by that, you're going to be aware of your good things. Many of us don't see our good points, right? We look at, oh my God, I messed this up, I messed up this talk, or, I messed up that assignment, or I shouldn't have said that to him or her or whatever. So when in writing, why that matters is because it's connected to the brain. It locks in those positive messages again to your subconscious. And again, you're creating a good habit. You're now going to create the habit where you're going to look for the good in your day. What went well? And I promise you, if you follow this one for 30 days, you'll be amazed at the shift of your entire attitude. It will make a huge difference on your emotions and attitude in life. And people will think, man, what is she taking? What is she going through that changes that life? What is she doing that I'm not doing that she's now happy and positive? So this one is a Goldie one. This is good. So make sure to practice this one and write this one down. Now, a question that I get commonly is what kind of journal or notebook do I need? But I would like to buy, do I need something beautiful? What do I need? I'm going to tell you, you just need any kind of paper or notebook will do, but I like to buy the beautiful journals with positive quotes. Why? Because they make me feel happy. How do I apply this? I write down 5 things every night. And I used to do 5 things every night and every morning, but now I just do 5 things at night. And I have many people say to me that they could not find 5 things to be happy about. So what I tell them is, well, are you happy that the water drains down the sink? Are you happy that the toilet flushes? Are you happy that you have a pet? So even if it's mundane, I don't care if you're happy that you just did dishes. Write down 5 things. Find 5 things that you can actually be grateful for. And as you do this, you'll find more and more things like friendships. You know, you got that unexpected check in the mail. More things will come to you. But in the very beginning, at least find 5 things that you could be happy for, even if it's mundane. Pets, family, sunshine. You know, one of mine in the beginning was I was happy that it was either sun shining out or it was raining on the flowers. So, oh, and by the way, if you're one of those people who can come up with 15 things right away, please just write down 5. You're an overachiever. And I've been there. But not only are you an overachiever, just write down 5, because there will be a day when you can't think of 5. And so just do this as a habit and make it a habit and keep it consistent. It's all about the consistency here. Let's go to the number 1 key that I consider so important. Schedule me time. That's right. Stick this in your calendar. Schedule me time. Why is this important, or why does it matter? It enables you to love yourself. You're going to make yourself happy first, and you'll have more to give. It's sort of like the oxygen mask example when you're flying in a plane. You know, the stewardess will tell you put on your oxygen mask first so you're able to help others. I'm going to tell you need to give to yourself first, and you need to give quality to yourself first. So I'm not talking about 5 minutes here, folks. I'm talking about an hour a day. And I realize for some of you, you're going, I can't find an hour a day. Well, I'm going to help you find at least 15 minutes to a half an hour starting off. But if you give to yourself each and every day, and you make yourself a priority, I promise you, you'll have much more to give. You'll be a very happy person. Your family and friends will love it. Your coworkers will love it. You'll be a changed person, and you'll love yourself more. So what you need to do is actually write it down on a desk calendar, on the Google Calendar, on your phone. I don't care how you do it. Schedule it. And perhaps if you find, everybody can find 15 minutes. When I started out, and I thought that this was a huge challenge, I started off with 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at lunch, and then 15 minutes at night. And that way, at least if something happened at night, like the kids are fighting, or somebody's got to go to the doctor, or the dog has to go to the vet, or I don't know, something erupts, or the meeting lasted a lot longer than you expected, and you can't find those 15 minutes at night, at least you got it in the morning or at lunchtime, or vice versa. But I broke it up in 15 minutes chunk, and by the way, I call that chunking. So chunk it at first. But as you continue to create that 15 minutes a day and you begin to love it, I promise you, you will find an hour a day. You'll go from 15 minutes to 30 and then an hour a day. So the magic question for you is, do you want to smile more and stress less? Because I know I do. So with your permission, what I'd like to do is, as I've provided these 3 keys for you, I would like to go further in detail and talk to you about a step-by-step program that could help you go far deeper into reducing your stress. So get ready for the big opportunity, because here it is. With my extensive training around healing the human body and my experience with conquering my own stress, it's why I knew I could easily share 3 keys, but not only that, folks, I could share an entire program with you, a step in to step up, 8 weeks to less stress and a more successful you is waiting for you, okay? I call this the wow is waiting for you, because in 8 weeks, you can get this done. So in 8 weeks, there are 8 different calls, and I'll describe them in just a minute. It's your appointment with your destiny, and to identify how you can go deeper and how you can enjoy your brilliance and how you can smile more and stress less. So let's talk about this. There are 4 seminars every other week to smile more and stress less. So the first one is it's about your wellness vision, how to attract more of it. It's about closing those energy loops that drain you and how to eliminate those drains. I will give you a step-by-step process, I guarantee you, to close that out and to stop those leaks. A big one on the third one is releasing the thoughts that block your happiness, and I'm going to teach you how to transform them into positive thoughts that you will use for the rest of your life to keep that stress at bay. And then finally, we're going to look at stepping up and stepping out to a healthier, confident, and happier you. There are 4 action guides and a transformational toolkit, all of which you will receive. In addition, there are also 4 90-minute live coaching calls with me. You can ask me any questions about the seminars, the action guides, anything about any of the steps, any of the strategies. If you have any challenges that you might be facing, I can give you tips on those. But yes, and I promise you, I'll stay on the call with you and answer all of your questions and coach you through any of those challenges, questions, or difficulties that you're having. So it's 4 90-minute ones. On top of that, you have 8 weeks of expert access because we have a members-only group. I'm sorry, we have a Step In to Step Up Facebook group in which you can not only interact with each other, but I'll also be closely monitoring it so that you get your questions answered. I won't say at the moment in time because I can't monitor every minute, but you'll get it answered within 48 hours or 24 hours of the time that you ask it. In addition, my VA will help check that out as well. And so not only that, though, we'll have people in the group. So maybe you have a question on a challenge that somebody else has already dealt with, and they can share with you what they did to make it work as well. And that's the power of the group. That's the power of masterminding, because you have experts on all different types of things within that group. The transformation is profound and powerful. You're going to go from the stressed out, burnt out, worn out mom or woman, whether you're a mom or not, whatever situation you're in, to the person who can juggle it all. You're going to go to the person who has given so much to yourself, or given enough to yourself. I'm going to say so much because you should always continue to invest in yourself. You'll be that person who gives so much to themselves that you're able to give to your relationships, to your job, to the boss, to the kids. You're going to be a happy person, smiling more, and without all the stress. Let's talk about the investment here. For some of you, you're going to ask me the question right away, because it's already happened, about, well, how can I get access to just you? Because you love being the center of my attention and focus. You want the one-on-one. You want it to be all about you and your success. If that's the case, then I would like for you to email me at info@extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com. So again, that's info@extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com. And if you go to the extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com website, you'll be able to find the contact page to contact me as well. So let's chat. Feel free to give me a shout out, and we can get started in September. And it's 90 days to an Extraordinary You mentoring program if you want that one-on-one, and I charge $6,000 for that one. Another great way to enjoy my expert support, and the investment is far less and the value is just extraordinary, is the 8-week group coaching program, Step In to Step Up, 8 weeks to less stress and a more successful you. Because of my extensive training again in healing the human body and my own experience with conquering the stress, I really feel I can lead you through this program with no problem. You can be where I am today. It's my mission to work with mid-career women to help you guys come out of the drama, trauma, and karma so that you can have your best expression of you show up, and you can be healthy, happier, and confident. The world needs you to smile more and stress less. It's time to get the expert support that you need. Let's get this done. One of my clients, Tracy Roman from Fort Mill Magazine, was perfectly satisfied after going through one of my programs from the hands-on shift that she had, and she actually is a private client. But she has also experienced some of the program too and has been in the group. She teaches from the heart. Her comments about me, she teaches from the heart and energizes you with her enthusiasm, and you can read the rest of how she talks about how she defeated her own negative self-talk, and she really did explode her creative side. She not only has one business, she has 2. She has now created a business called Weighing Happy and is well on her way to let her passion and her creativity out. So this is one of my all-time great success stories. So now let's talk about this program. If you enroll by Monday, July 21st, midnight, so that's next Monday, July 21st, I have an early bird special of $597. So it's $400 off the price. You can go to extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com, step up. And so there's the link. So I'll give that just a minute for you to tap into that at the end of the page. And not only that, I'm also getting ready to offer a fast action bonus. Okay, so I'm going to offer a fast action bonus. So copy that down, and again, you'll have access to it because we'll do a broadcast so you can see this again. So extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com, step up. I know on this page it says the fast action bonus is the first 10 people will receive 1 hour of private coaching from me during the course, but I'm going to offer you 2 hours of private coaching because I feel generous tonight. So you'll have one the first month and one the second month. So we'll run one in the first 4 weeks and one in the second. That way you'll have 2 private sessions with me during the entire 8-week course. That in itself is worth its weight in gold, folks, because I typically charge $350 an hour for coaching. Maya Angelou says, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. So, if you continue to lead the life the way you do, all stressed out, you're going to get what you've got, or you can make a conscious choice today to invest in you. And this is a huge investment. So at this point, I'm sure there are questions about the investment, so let me take any questions that might be out there. Oh yes, I see in the chat. The first question that comes about, is there a payment plan? Yes, there is, but if you pay in full, you get the $400 off. If you go to the payment plan, and I'm not looking at it right now, I believe it's about $100. You'll see it on the page, but it'll cost you a little bit more to go to the payment option, but there is a payment option. You can split it up into 3 payments. Oh, the second question is, what if I can't attend live? If you have to miss a session, and we're all busy and stressed out, and I get that, so if you have to miss a session, they'll all be recorded, and you'll have a hub where you're actually logging into, where you'll have access to all the phone calls. They'll be recorded, to all the seminars that are recorded. The action guides will be downloaded for you to use. So you'll have access to all of those materials. So never fear if you can't make a call. And here's a question that came in that I just saw. The question is, will you answer questions ahead of time through email? So for example, if we had a call tomorrow night coming up and you knew we had a Q&A but you couldn't attend, if you email me the questions ahead of time, I'll make sure to get them answered on the Q&A call. Aside from that coaching call, that coaching Q&A call though, you can also ask any questions in the Facebook group, because remember we had the Mastermind Facebook group where we come together, and I'll get back to you and answer them there. So yes, your questions will be readily answered. Any other questions? So let me ask Ty, do you see any other questions on the webinar? Okay, so with that, if you'll go over to extraordinarywellness.com/step-up. So again, extraordinarywellness.com, and let me come back to that. So extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com, step up. You'll be able to review the entire program in its entirety, as well as the payment plan and the payment option. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. And again, that's at info@extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com. So info@extraordinarywellnesscoaching.com. So with that, I'm going to say good night and thank you, and I hope you have a very stress-free evening. Take care, smile more, stress less.